Alright, so this is layout update number 2. I've been quite busy over the last week getting all the foam roadbed down, foam tabletop glued down using the PL300 glue that I mentioned last time. It's all down all the way across, including on the dropout sections. So they're all ready to go with the locks and hinges, and they drop down. The foam's cut so that they lift up and down, and you can see there's a gap there. Don't touch. The track you can see out is not even pinned down. It's just sitting completely loose. Just concept ideas right now, but I have successfully run some trains around. You can see I'm carrying it around the back. I didn't put foam in that back corner because I'm going to have a short bridge in there, so I got to figure out how I'm going to do just sort of a dry gully in the back. But I threw a couple pieces of train down just for now. But this is the main concept: is the center block along the back wall is going to be a 4-track yard. Is the main idea. So the main is actually going to be at the back, and then I'm going to have this 4-track yard here, and the outside or inside, I guess, whatever, the 4th yard track here, I've actually extended it around as a passing siding over to there. So if you stage a train in the yard, you can actually pull it out. The idea is you could pull the train to here to get onto the main. So the yard continues all the way down and around there. So then there's just sort of a caboose or engine siding. I don't really know what that's going to be yet there. So that's sort of the core center of what I want my layout to have is a nice big yard sort of down the middle. It's easily accessible. You don't have to reach over anything. The main line runs at the back. This line here is actually the return. So the main line sort of goes that way, loops all the way around, and then comes back. So that's the one end of sort of the dog bone. And then it'll come across this drop down section, which sort of drops down this way and come back around. I have another little siding there for now. I have a short little sort of stub yard here. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this space. You can see there's sort of just odds and ends all over, but I want to have a track for like a scrap yard, you know, like a steel recycling facility, something along those lines, a little more modern, not just piles of junk, but something like that. So I don't know if that'll include a structure that this sort of goes into, and then there'll be some stuff out front. And then these 2 tracks I'm actually thinking of, because again, with my idea to extend this, these might be going to a wharf. So what I'm thinking I might do is have a wharf extend out here, say 18, 20 inches. So from here on, sort of drop it down, have water with a wharf coming out with some kind of a crane. And then in the back, my dad actually has a 1/87th scale tugboat model kit that he's building that he's sort of keen to put towards it. So it'd be kind of cool, I think, to have a big tug in the back and a 2-track sort of wharf with a small crane just for unloading box cars or something. I don't know how feasible that is, but it's an idea. You can see in the back, the other end of the dog bone, we just put a temporary bridge in place because my bridges hadn't come in. So those are just the plastic HO. We had a bunch of the piers and the flat sections, and that's the gap from edge to edge, like foam to foam, is exactly 36 inches. So one piece of flex fits edge to edge. So we just screwed a 1x4 on there, and again, that's not even tacked down. None of the tracks pinned or anything. It's just sitting loose, but it hasn't moved, and I've run these trains across it. I don't know how smart that was, but they've gone around a few times and no problems. It's not a permanent setup because actually just today my bridges did come in. But in order to get those bridges on properly, I have this piece of wood here you can see cut. It's about 16 inches wide. That's going to replace that 1x4 at the bottom. And I'm actually going to build out berms on each side. And then the new bridge, I'm just actually going to duck under here quickly, so I haven't taken the track apart. This is the bridge sections that I've ordered from MTH. So this larger span at the bottom is the 18 inches across. It actually measures almost 19 if you include the edge of the support, but the track is 18. And then I have a 9-inch section, so they're going to go together. So the idea is to have the arched span here and then the straight section there. so as a nice centerpiece, and then have this just screwing that board I showed you in down here. I'll have about 16 inches width to sort out exactly where I want that bridge to be, and then I can mold the foam down and then mold the foam back up. So that's where that will go. So the only two permanent ideas, fixtures, is this bridge. I saw it online, and it was a steal. So both of these together cost me $36 American. I'm up in Canada, so even with conversion, it was a steal online. Sourcing them locally, hobby store, they were looking at $49.95 for this kit, and I think it was $24.95 for that kit. So I was looking at 75 plus, and online from any of the Canadian distributors, prices were similar, and then I'd still have shipping. So unfortunately, to get the bridges I wanted, and in case people haven't seen them, maybe I'll just do a quick unboxing. The reason I went with the MTH kit, nothing to do with brand loyalty, honestly. It was the quality of the kit. So I'll just open this up real quick here. You'll see what I'm talking about in a section if I pull these piers out. But the arches have a ridiculous amount of detail. I don't really want to unpack the whole thing, but it's a good size. Really nice span, very well detailed, and super simple to put together. It actually screws together with metal screws, so you know, a video won't convey the weight of it, but it's a very weighty kit, both of them, and they're fully compatible, so they actually click together, and you can screw the bridge into the piers, so they won't shift or anything. So I have some of my just pieces of buildings and stuff that are just sort of sitting loose for ideas. But that's where I am. I did wire power up, so I just have my Prodigy plugged in just so I can test some trains and do some running. As you can see, I sort of have a scattering of different stuff, just again getting into the hobby in the last year or so. So I've sort of just been buying all kinds of things because I hadn't picked an era or a main railway to model. I am starting to lean towards CN. Again, being Canadian, I just absolutely love this Kato DCC -9 that I picked up. It's just a gorgeous model. It's DCC. Unfortunately, it doesn't have sound, but all my other ones do. So what I found is I actually just have a couple engines sitting idling, and when I'm running the -9 around, it might as well have sound at that point. So. But going forward, I'll make sure my next one does. But I have several more engines. I'm not going to go through all my stock or anything. There's still lots of it all packed into boxes and crates down here. But once I get everything out and going, I think the next step before the next update, you'll probably see me do another video where the track layout has changed again. I haven't really decided what I'm doing over here. Maybe some kind of a little switchback type yard, or I'm not sure. I don't really want to fill the whole space up with track. I really like the idea of having these open areas to do scenic, you know, having just that one line, or the two lines are in the back, lots of room to put scenery, roads, whatever. I didn't want to fill this stub yard up, you know, with 4 or 5 lines. I wanted to have room to put some structures and a purpose to actually be traveling around. I did fiddle with having a dual line main, or two main lines, but I actually found that with the large yard and the passing track, it was actually operating with my dad just for sort of quickly just to test it out. I really like the idea of having to stage the trains and, you know, find your windows and moving, you know, trying to move these cars off this siding and getting them back into the yard with, you know, just that BNSF we're using as sort of a temporary switcher. It was interesting because you had to sort of plan your exits and time on the main line. So I kind of enjoyed that structure. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I've just started also putting together some terminal strips. I'm actually going to be separating. I was talking to a coworker of mine that's actually an electrician, And he said best practice would be to actually, for DC, would be have your positive and negative completely separate, so that should you ever be extending off, there's no chance of you arcing accidentally. So, you know, I think they were these terminal strips for maybe $3 each. So with the price of this terminal strip, I figured, sure, why not? And so I'm using 20 gauge solid copper for these. So it should be really good conducting. And the idea is to basically, each of these lines will have a feeder. So I'm going to have 6 across here, the main, front and back, and then the 4 sidings. And then I'll have feeders over in this yard. Obviously each of the 2 drop down sections will need feeders, and something along that back, whatever I end up putting in there, will have a feeder. But the nice thing is with the double wishbone or double dog bone is that this is a main and response. The main is on both sides, so I'm only really having to feed half. So, but anyways, that's the update. Hope you guys like it. Leave any comments or questions below, and talk to you next time.